All right, let's work on chapter 12 today, la passion pour les arts, passion for the arts. We're going to see le patrimoine historique, les œuvres d'art et de littérature, les verbes suivre, vivre et habiter, and stressed pronouns. We're not finishing the chapter because we're tired. We did so much this semester. The rest of the chapter is completely useless in terms of entering French 3. So if you ever do French 3, you won't miss that, believe me. The big core of French 2 is really direct object pronoun, indirect object pronoun, and passé composé imparfait. That's the huge things. All right, let's go over the vocabulary of chapter 12 and we do a tiny bit of grammar, but that's about it. On y va. Okay, first, we're going to talk about arts and all that. So here are a few pictures. That's the Carrousel du Louvre. It's an Arc of Triumph. This is the Louvre here. Here's the end of the Louvre, and you can see the Eiffel Tower from here. This is the Pont du Gard, which is a Roman aqueduct, 2,000 years old, that is in southern France, near Nîmes. That's Les Arènes de Nîmes. That's the Roman arenas, and that's a Roman temple in Nîmes still, in southern France. That is right in the middle of the city. They call it La Maison Carrée. They don't call it a temple in French. That's funny. Okay, let's look at page 320, 321 in your book. I'll read it. Les Arènes d'Arles, monument de l'époque romaine, 59 avant Jésus-Christ, 5e siècle. La cathédrale d'Amiens, chef-d'œuvre du Moyen-Âge, l'époque médiévale, 5e, 15e siècle. Chenonceau, château de la Renaissance, 16e siècle. Versailles, château de l'époque classique, 17e siècle. So let's locate everything. Arles is here. This is where I'm from, Montpellier. Arles is here. Amiens is here, all the way up north. Chenonceau is in the Loire Valley here. And Versailles here. Voilà. C'est bon? These are the arenas, the Roman arenas in Paris, meaning like, as you can see, there's like nothing left. There's like, it's just, that's where it was. Whereas did you see the arenas in Nîmes what's left? Or in your book, the arenas in Arles. I'll show you right now some photos of Arles where I went a few years ago. You see how the arenas are really integrated in the city, and that's what I find really interesting is how the French got used to all those Roman stuff. That's again the arenas. That's the theater that is right behind the arenas. You see, you can still have little concerts there. That's called Les Aliscons. That's me and my mom. So now you'll understand why I'm so short. And these are sarcophagi. So where rich people would get buried in there on this road, you know, on the side of this road. Here you go. And that's the head of what they think is Julius Caesar that was found in the Rhone River, the river that runs there. So that was a great discovery. That was a few years ago. And so now our archaeologists still look for stuff in the water in Arles to find some Roman stuff mostly. All right, let's go over the vocabulary. Une époque, l'époque romaine, l'époque médiévale, le Moyen-Âge, l'époque classique, un siècle, 100 ans. Voilà, that's for the vocabulary. Now let's go over the vocabulary of les œuvres d'art et de littérature. So it's all the vocabulary related to art. On y va, on répète. La littérature, un poème, la poésie, un roman, une pièce de théâtre, un écrivain, une femme écrivain, une écrivaine, une sculpture, un sculpteur, une femme sculpteur, la peinture, un tableau, un peintre, une femme peintre, un musicien, une musicienne, un compositeur, une compositrice, un cinéaste, une cinéaste, un acteur, une actrice, une œuvre, un recueil. Alors, let's go over things. You see, for people doing it as a job, usually artist names are masculine because it's only for men by tradition. Then you could use like une femme and put the name of the profession right after to make it feminine, or sometimes it has a feminine word. Let's take the example of écrivain. For example, someone who's 70 years old will probably say une femme écrivain, whereas someone who's 20 years old will probably say une écrivaine. This is a more recent thing. Same thing, une femme sculpteur, and maybe now you could say une sculptrice. For some people it's strange. I still believe that it is acceptable among modern people. So these are recent additions to make a feminine version of some words. Ok, on y va. On fait l'exercice A, page 324. You have to link. And see, they give you people. Retrouver. Qui sont-ils? Retrouver la profession de ces artistes. Si vous ne savez pas, devinez, vous faites des recherches. I put them here. Audrey Tautou est une actrice. Auguste Rodin est un sculpteur. Renoir est un peintre. Simone de Beauvoir est une écrivaine ou une femme écrivain. Louis Malle est un cinéaste. Camille Claudel est une femme sculpteur ou une sculptrice. Claude Debussy est un compositeur. Marie Cassatt est une femme peintre ou une peintre. Henri Matisse est un peintre. Et Catherine Deneuve est une actrice. C'est bon? On continue. On a fini. On va faire les verbes. We're going to see the verb suivre and vivre. Both verbs are irregular. Let's detail them. Suivre, je suis, tu suis, il suit, nous suivons, vous suivez, ils suivent. Vivre, je vis, tu vis, il vit, nous vivons, vous vivez, ils vivent. So, what's up with them? How irregular are they? Suivre is irregular because it has a very short singular, and vivre is irregular because it has a very short singular too. So you see, this colon is short, whereas this is more normal. Okay? Suivre means to follow. Look how it looks like I am. It's the same. Of course, by context, you'll understand if it means I am or I follow. Okay? Poursuivre means to pursue, like pursue studies. Hein? Voilà. And vivre. The problem with that is that now we have two verbs to mean to live. We have vivre and habiter. So let's try to decide. Habiter is a regular ER verb. You remember? E-S-E-O-N-S, E-Z-E-N-G. So, vivre means to be alive, to exist. Picasso a vécu jusqu'à 92 ans. Or, il a vécu dans le luxe. Whereas habiter means to reside. J'habite à Paris. Il habite dans une grande maison. It has to be related to a place. Ok? On va regarder et on va faire un exercice sur Van Gogh à page 325. Complétez l'histoire en utilisant les verbes suivants. Suivre, poursuivre, vivre et habiter. Mettez tous les verbes excepté le numéro 7 au présent. Vincent Van Gogh est né en 1853 à Groot-Zundert, aux Pays-Bas. En 1877, il suit des cours pour devenir pasteur, mais malheureux, il change d'avis. Il poursuit des études de dessin anatomique parce qu'il veut devenir artiste. Après des séjours en Belgique et aux Pays-Bas, où il peint les mangeurs de pommes de terre, voilà. So that's a painting he did in Netherlands. Okay? Il habite à Paris où il fait la connaissance des peintres impressionnistes comme Monet. C'est Pissarro qui le convainc d'utiliser des couleurs vives. À Paris, Van Gogh ne vend aucun tableau. Il vit dans la misère. De 1888 jusqu'à sa mort, Van Gogh habite dans le sud de la France où il poursuit sa passion pour la peinture. De plus en plus tourmenté, il se suicide en 1890. Il a vécu seulement jusqu'à l'âge de 37 ans et n'a vendu qu'un seul tableau pendant sa vie. So these are the paintings that he did in Arles. You see, when he moved to southern France, he discovered the lights of southern France and changed. So Arles, you remember, is that place where you see me with my mom on the photo. So that's his bedroom in Arles. That's a cafe in Arles. That's the Rhône in Arles. That he actually did in Saint-Rémy de Provence from his asylum. You know, he went crazy. Et voilà. On continue. Let's do one very last thing, which is stressed pronouns. What are stressed pronouns? As if we hadn't seen enough pronouns this semester. So we saw the direct object pronoun, the indirect object pronoun. We saw I and en. I for places, and en to mean of it, of them, some of it, some of them. And now here are the stressed pronouns. The stressed pronouns are things like you say, oh, you're funny. Me, I don't want to do this. So when you say me, I don't want to do this, the me is a stressed pronoun because you see it's kind of apart. But we use them for a lot of different things. They call stressed pronouns, but they're not always stressed. So call them whatever you want, but here they are. Moi, toi, lui, elle, soi, nous, vous, eux, elle. Alors, we say we use them for that, like toi, tu es marrant. You're funny. But see, we use them for that. Chez toi, après vous. And that's a really weird case. You know how in English we teach you to never say like Mike and me, sorry, but we tell you to say Mike and I. But in French it's the contrary. We say Mike and me. Okay, so we use those. Okay, c'est chez moi, après vous. Okay, on continue. C'est toi, is that you? We're going to use stressed pronouns. Qui veut du café? Moi. Okay, that's another stressed pronoun. And then we can combine them with même. Ils construisent leur maison eux-mêmes to mean self, themselves. Myself, moi-même. Yourself, toi-même. Voilà. C'est bon? Oui? I think we're done with the chapter. Whew. With half of it, but that's all we will do. All right. Thank you.